Well, let's talk about J6. We have this story here from Julie Kelly. This is huge. The Supreme Court has just ruled that the obstruction charges no good. This means the Department of Justice has unlawfully prosecuted 350 plus Americans for their participation in January 6th, a flagrant abuse of the law to punish those who protested Biden's election and criminalized political dissent. Now, you know a lot about this, my good friend Lectern guy. And this was the felony charge they were trying to get to put everyone in prison for decades, because a lot of people got misdemeanor charges. This one was the felony. And now, what happens? I mean, you're not a lawyer, but have you followed this?
I have. So I think the way the 1512 read is that you would have to destroy documents, ballots, things that would actually stop the vote from going through, stop an actual proceeding. That's not what happened. A lot of these judges knew that, and they knew they didn't have standing to do this, but they did it anyway. Did not care. Where we are now is there are a lot of people who have already finished their sentences. They're already done. They've already spent 3 years. Brandon Fellows is one of these people.
With a felony?
Had the felony. Did 3 years. He's done. Now he's on supervised release. Right now, just got out 30-something days ago. And what are we going to do for him? What can we do for him? He's already served his entire time. You can't sue the DOJ. You can't sue these judges. They have immunity. There is no restoration for these people. What about Matthew Perna, who took his life? How do we help these people? We can't. The damage has been done. Moving forward, what we see the judge is already talking about is stacking the misdemeanors and then adding more time that way instead. So Eric Holder had a memo to the judges where he said, we're going to take the worst charge and then the sentencing guidelines will be done on that. And that's how things were going. Now that they removed this, they're just going to find misdemeanors, stack them together so sentences are longer. This is retribution.
Yeah.
And they will continue to move forward. They will find new things. You can be creative.
Wow. That's crazy. This case is really interesting because it's over 300 people who are affected by this, including, I think it's like 250, including President Donald Trump, who are facing these charges. Their legal battle is ongoing. And I think you're right. There are people, I don't know if they could sue for wrongful imprisonment or whatever else, but there are very few paths forwards, especially if you've already had to pay the price of defending yourself. The burden of legal fees in America is crazy. I did find this ruling really interesting for a number of reasons. One of them was that Ketanji John
I'm trying to get it.
No. If you hit me in the face with that on the live podcast.
Alex is coming with a MyPillow.
I was making a really good point. That fly is here to thwart me. Okay, well, Tim hunts the fly.
Electric fly swatter.
The Ketanji Brown Jackson, who is typically considered a liberal justice, joined with Roberts and 4 other conservative justices to join the majority position and say, this is not how this is supposed to be interpreted. We have to. You can't make it a broad interpretation of this phrase. You have to make it narrow. Otherwise, this is incorrect. And I found that really fascinating. And Amy Coney Barrett, who people were all like, oh, another Trump appointee conservative. She's the one who joined with Kagan and Sotomayor. So it is interesting that the Supreme Court gets a lot of flack for being ideologically split, and that's one of the big fears that if Trump is elected, he'll appoint more conservatives. But actually, a lot of the court is really trying to interpret these issues in a way that I think would be good for America.
Yeah, but forget the Supreme Court. I guess they did a couple good things recently, but also they said that, the government can tell social media companies what to say. So
sort of.
They didn't say. They said it doesn't have standing, and you can't try to.
And there's still a couple cases that are pending. So
I think ACB has young kids, and we have seen protests outside of Supreme Court Justice Holmes.
Yeah.
And I think she probably is afraid. I think it is very, very simple. She has a family. She is afraid. When it comes to Ketanji, I think she sees it as the implications and the precedent you're setting by having this charge brought and then prosecute people. Imagine when their side protests again, and we're in a position of power. Are we allowed to use it in the same way? They're setting a precedent that can be used against them as well.
Yeah, but it's been totally weaponized. They tried to burn the federal courthouse in Portland 19 days in a row, and I think that person literally got probation.
That's because we were in charge, and that's not how we roll.
Yeah, but supervisors of the FBI or CIA, they're the ones that are going to be like, oh, do this. And they're talking to district attorneys. So it only takes a few high-power people to basically weaponize the Department of Justice against people. So until we get out the deep state or whatever it is, they can always let the criminals go for George Floyd riots and then get all the white people for January 6th. So I don't know how we fix that.
Would you have seen the people from BLM prosecuted the same way that J6ers were prosecuted? Because I wouldn't.
Well,
I actually wouldn't. I don't
Would you
think that's
want that
justice.
Well, right now, actually, is a handful of Antifa. Andy No's been covering this. They're going to prison, but it is not as insane as the J6ers. Like, it's surprising to see they're actually giving a couple of years to these guys for their violent riots. But you got people who walked in a building facing 20 years until this.
And Adam, you said they reconvened and got the certification. They certified the election within 3 hours. So how could they charge him with a felony obstruction when they didn't obstruct anything? I mean, I guess they.
How can they charge someone with theft for moving furniture 20 yards and not taking anything?
And that was
They
your
charged
proper
you with
charge.
theft?
Yeah.
Felony theft.
That's ridiculous.
Felony theft. It was $100,000 worth of attorney fees we had to pay out of pocket. We could collect a single dime. That came out of our pocket. And if we hadn't had those attorneys, would have been in prison.
I mean, there are people, Brandon Strzok is one of them. He said, I took a plea deal because I just I didn't think I had any other options. I think there are so many people who in these positions are being hit with these crazy charges and they are just saying like, I have to play ball with the government because I don't have the resources to fight this. And
Every plea deal is signed. It is coercion from a J6er that takes plea deal. It is coercion. It's not a plea deal. You are being coerced. You sign this under duress.
Yeah.
That is how plea deals work out of the federal government. You get charged by the feds, take the deal because they will give you a trial tax. You will end up serving so much more time. And we've seen that. You go to court in D.C. as a J6er. You say, no, I didn't do that. You will get extra charges. You will spend more time in prison.
Yeah, it makes me sick. My buddy Luke Coffey, he's in that same situation right now, and they charge him with assaulting a police officer because he had a crutch, and he basically touched their crutch to their riot shields. And, I mean, his life could hopefully not. I pray to God that it's not. I love Luke. Never been arrested before, no criminal history. And he's looking at, 10 to 20 years in prison for being there. And like I said, he didn't even hit anybody. So I don't know. It's very challenging. That's my, I guess, one critique. I love Donald Trump. I'm going to vote for Trump. I'm riding not with Biden. I'm riding with Donald Trump. But I would like to hear him say that he's going to do more for J6. And I know he has mentioned it. It's not like he hasn't mentioned it. But I would like to see him do more because I just hate to see people that I personally know, lives are ruined. And I think Trump maybe can pardon him once he gets in. But I'd like to hear him say that.
He had said at that town hall that CNN hosted that he would... he wants to review all the cases and pardon as many people as possible because he thinks a lot of people are. I mean, and I think we all agree there are probably some people who technically could get a misdemeanor trespassing charge or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
But I would love to see Trump announce tomorrow, here are the people who are going to be on my J6 case review panel and hit the ground running the day he's inaugurated, right? Because I am worried that it will be 2 years in, we finally return, and I just don't think we can leave people who are in jail for January 6th stuff suspended for that long.
But why a review panel?
Well, that's what he said he wanted to do. He wanted to review every single case.
I
think that's fair.
No, I know he should just say blanket pardon.
Well, and not to throw shade at you, Adam, but if they did charge you a misdemeanor or something and you had to do a little fine or anything, I think that would have been fair, right?
Absolutely.
And then we wouldn't be in this process.
I disagree.
No, my wife.
I do disagree.
You don't even think you should have got trespassing maybe or whatever, slap on the wrist metaphorically.
Okay, let me ask you. When you showed up there, were there barricades saying "Do not enter"?
No.
What no trespassing signs?
No.
You just walked up the stairs and walked in a building?
Yep, doors were open, walked right through them.
You can't charge someone. Yeah. I've been through this, and this is what really pisses me off. Cenk Uygur yelled at me because I said, you cannot charge someone for trespassing unless they've been warned they are trespassing. And that's why there's private property all over the place with big old signs saying no trespassing. And it's why we had to do it. Because if someone can access your property, even it's private property, let's say it's 1,000 acres, and at the center of the 1,000 acres is your house, they can legally walk onto your property because you did not warn them first. So I don't think you should have got anything. They should have asked you what happened. You said, I walked and said, okay, sir, have a nice day.
I agree with you. I mean, I think this is one of the interesting things, right? We know from the videos that Tucker released that the shaman was just ushered in.
Police came in.
Right. But I think part of the power of what Trump is saying, I will review the cases, is to be able to hold up a document and saying this is exactly why I don't agree with this. Here's what we're going, because if he did a blanket pardon, and I'm not saying that he shouldn't, I just know that the other side, which we will have to deal with eventually, would say see, corrupt dictator, let everyone out or whatever else. I think people who believe in the innocence of the January 6th, and we believe that there is corruption in the judicial branch, or in the Department of Justice, that they are unfairly targeting these people, know that the evidence supports this, right? We know there is video evidence that there was no, barricades. We know that Trump offered all kinds of support and it was rejected. Like, if you do a review and you can publish this, like, whatever 1,000 document, you can always refer back to it and say, like, if you have a problem with the person I pardon, go back and see why we made this decision.
This is the issue I take with the left. Not every single one, but Cenk Uygur, millions of followers, tens of thousands of subscribers. I'm saying he's got subscribers and he's got paid members for his website. I said, the people who smashed the windows and stormed their way and ripped the barricades down, yes, I get that. Rioting is illegal. You get charged for that. But there were people who showed up to open green grass, sidewalk, walked up to a building where the doors were open and cops were taking selfies with people. And they were like, howdy. And it said, howdy. And they walked on in. The cops were smiling. They walked through the velvet ropes, taking pictures, and then left. And these people are going to jail. I met a couple. They got 18 months for exactly that. And when I said you cannot charge people for trespassing if they don't know, Cenk Uygur goes on this show and starts ranting about, you have broken glass everywhere, and you think stepping, you're walking through a window. And I'm like, he's lying. Because he knows the full context of what I said. The people who smashed windows go to jail. And the people who walked on the other side of the building where there was no riot, where the doors were just open, had no idea. Those people are free to go. But they lie.
Is breaking a window really? Can they go to prison for that? Federal prison for breaking a window? That seems a little excessive. And that's
well, I'm not even saying someone who broke a window should get federal prison. I was talking about the Proud Boys. Should they who have smashed a window, climbed in, and we're laughing about it, go to jail, get arrested, and get charged? Yeah, I don't know. Was it 2 months? Or a fine for breaking a window?
They should be sentenced in the way that other people who have historically done this have been sentenced. That is justice, and that's all I'm asking for. I'm not saying that everyone should get a blanket pardon. I've never said that, never will. If you genuinely hit a cop, struck an officer, you should be sentenced in a way that if you did it to anyone else in any other state, that sentence would work out.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.